Okay, so get this. Imagine learning about like the latest AI stuff,
Yeah.
right? As easy as watching Netflix.
hmm
That's what Eon reality. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, they're really trying to shake things up when it comes to global learning with AI.
Yeah, they're a global leader in AR and VR education, but this is something new.
Yeah, this is a whole new approach. It's a
Yeah.
whole new way to think about AI
Okay,
and its role in education.
they laid it all out in a white paper.
Yeah.
We've got it right here.
Yep, we're diving deep into that today.
Our mission is to really like unpack it and figure out how these small specialized AI models
Right.
could actually change how we learn,
You know the thing about the big traditional AI models, they're so expensive
right?
and you need a ton of computing power.
Yeah.
Plus you need constant internet access.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
Huge obstacle in lots of parts of the
Yeah,
world.
huge.
Yeah.
So Eon Reality is saying, what if we go smaller,
Mm-hmm.
like way smaller? They're focused on something called specialized AI language models.
Yeah.
What is that? How's that different from the massive AI we usually hear about?
Think of it like this. Instead of one giant Swiss Army knife, you have a set of like really precise tools,
Okay.
each one perfect for a specific job.
Okay.
These specialized models are designed for very specific tasks, and that makes them way more efficient
Right. Yeah.
and affordable.
And speaking of affordable, Eon Reality says these smaller models can be trained for like $30
Yeah, it's great.
compared to tens of thousands for the larger models. It's incredible.
That cost difference is a game changer,
Right.
because it makes AI technology available to everyone.
Right.
It means smaller organizations, startups, even just regular people can develop and use AI models.
So it's not just for the big tech companies anymore.
Exactly.
This opens up the playing field for innovators all over the world.
Precisely. And that's particularly important when we're talking about global education. Imagine a small school in a rural area being able to develop an AI model that teaches the local language
Right.
or, agricultural practices. That just wasn't possible before.
Yeah, and these AI models, they can run offline, right? On low-cost devices, which again, huge for places with limited internet access.
Absolutely.
So this opens up so many possibilities.
It does.
Think about healthcare workers in remote areas.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to get the latest medical knowledge, or students in underserved communities having a personalized learning experience.
Yeah.
And they don't need a constant internet connection.
Right.
So I'm starting to see the potential here.
Hmm.
But how does Eon Reality plan to actually make this happen on a large scale?
Yeah.
How do they reach millions of learners with this approach?
Well, the combination of affordability and offline capability, that's really key to their scalability strategy.
Okay.
These models are so cost-effective to create and deploy, and because they don't rely on constant internet, they can reach learners in even the most remote parts of the world.
So we're talking farmers in the Amazon, rainforest teachers in the Himalayas, healthcare workers in the Sahara Desert, all potentially having access to this cutting-edge technology.
Exactly, and the exciting part is Eon Reality is already putting this vision into practice.
Well,
They're developing real-world applications for these tiny AI models in all sorts of fields, from healthcare and agriculture to disaster response.
okay. I definitely want to hear more about these real-world applications.
Yeah,
Can you give us some specific examples of how these tiny AIs are actually making a difference,
sure.
like in healthcare or agriculture? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of what Eon has shared.
Okay, let's start with healthcare. Imagine a rural hospital, maybe in a developing country where they don't have a lot of specialized medical personnel.
Yeah, I can picture it. The nearest big city could be miles away, maybe even days if the roads are bad.
Yeah.
Access to expertise is really limited.
Exactly. Now picture this hospital having a few low-cost tablets equipped with a specialized AI.
Okay.
This AI has been trained on the latest procedures for things like triage and emergency care. The staff who might not have had access to advanced training can now use those tablets to learn and practice, all guided by this AI.
Wow, so even without a specialist physically there, they can still tap into that expertise.
Right.
And in some situations, that could be life or death.
It really could. And this approach isn't limited to healthcare. Think about agriculture, for example. Small-scale farmers in a region that's prone to drought.
Okay.
They could have access to an AI model that gives them real-time advice on water management, soil conservation, and what crops are best suited for those dry conditions.
So it's like having a personalized farming advisor right in their pocket.
Yeah,
Literally.
exactly.
Instead of relying on traditional methods, that might not work as well in a changing climate, they have this AI-powered guidance tailored to their specific region and crops.
Precisely. And Eon Reality is also exploring how these AI models can be used in disaster response.
Okay.
So first responders facing a natural disaster or major emergency could use offline AI simulations to prepare for different scenarios.
So they could practice things like triage in a mass casualty event, or search and rescue in a collapsed building, or even how to contain a chemical spill, all in a virtual training environment.
Yes, and because it's offline, they can access these simulations even when communication networks are down, which often happens during emergencies.
Yeah, that's critical.
It's about equipping them with the knowledge and skills they need to respond effectively in those critical moments.
It's about more than convenience, isn't it? It's about empowering people with the knowledge and tools they need, no matter where they are or what challenges they're facing.
Yeah.
It feels like Eon Reality is really trying to bridge the digital divide,
Mm-hmm.
especially in parts of the world that have been historically underserved.
That's a key part of their mission. They see this technology as a way to democratize access to quality education and training, particularly in the global south. It's about leveling the playing field and creating opportunities for everyone to learn and thrive.
So we've seen how these tiny AIs can be powerful tools for good. But are there any potential downsides to consider? What about the risk of these specialized models being less powerful or versatile than the larger models? Could that limit their impact?
That's an important question. While it's true that these specialized models are designed for specific tasks, that focus is also their strength.
Okay.
It allows them to be incredibly efficient and accurate within their domain. And as technology advances, we can expect these smaller models to become even more sophisticated.
So it's not necessarily about one type of model being better than the other. It's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And remember, even with their smaller size, these specialized models can still handle complex tasks. The key is in the training data and the algorithms used. Eon Reality is constantly refining their techniques to ensure these models are as powerful and effective as possible.
That makes sense. So it sounds like these smaller AI models have the potential to be real game changers, especially when it comes to expanding access to education and training globally.
They do. And as we continue to explore and refine this technology, I think we'll see even more innovative applications emerge. The possibilities are truly exciting.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. But before we wrap up, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on something we haven't touched on yet. The security of these AI models. Given that they're often deployed on low-cost devices, are there concerns about them being vulnerable to hacking or tampering?
That's a valid concern, and it's something Eon Reality takes very seriously. While it's true that lower-cost devices might not have the same level of security as more sophisticated systems, there are ways to mitigate those risks.
What kind of safeguards are we talking about?
Well, for starters, it's important to build security into these systems from the ground up.
What?
That means using robust encryption methods, implementing strict access controls, and regularly updating software to patch any vulnerabilities. Eon Reality is actively working on all these fronts.
So it's about taking a proactive approach to security rather than treating it as an afterthought.
Absolutely. And user education is also crucial. People need to be aware of the potential risks and take steps to protect their devices and the data they contain, just like they would with any other technology.
That makes sense. It's a shared responsibility between the developers and the users to ensure these AI models are used safely and securely.
Precisely. And as the technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more sophisticated security measures being developed and implemented. It's an ongoing process of innovation and adaptation.
Okay. I'm feeling a lot more reassured knowing that security is a top priority for Eon Reality. Now, as we move towards wrapping up our deep dive, I'd love to get your perspective on something that's been on my mind throughout this conversation, the potential impact of these AI models on the workforce. Some people are concerned that AI will automate jobs and displace workers.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's a valid concern and something we need to be mindful of as we integrate AI more deeply into our lives. But I'm also wondering if it's not quite as black and white as robots taking over like we see in some movies.
Right?
I think you're right. It's not a simple equation of AI equals job losses. While it's true that AI can automate certain tasks, it also has the potential to create new jobs and augment human capabilities.
So maybe it's more about a shift in the types of jobs that are in demand.
Exactly. As AI takes on more routine and repetitive tasks, it frees up humans to focus on things that require creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, the things that AI isn't as good at. And this also creates a need for new skills related to developing, managing, and maintaining AI systems.
So we're going to need more people who can bridge the gap between technology and human needs, people who understand both the technical aspects of AI and the social implications of its use.
Precisely. Think about roles like AI ethicists, data privacy specialists, trainers who can help people adapt to working alongside AI. These are all emerging fields with huge growth potential.
It's almost like AI is pushing us to evolve, to upskill and find new ways to contribute in a changing world.
That's a great way to put it. It's a challenge for sure, but it's also an opportunity to redefine what work means and create a future where technology enhances human potential rather than replacing it.
Okay, that's a really optimistic way to look at it. And it's a good reminder that we have a choice in how we shape the future of work.
Right.
But what about the ethical considerations around using these AI models in education? We've talked about data bias and security, but are there other concerns we should be aware of?
Yes, there are a few. One is the potential for these models to reinforce existing biases, especially if they're trained on data that reflects those biases. For example, if a language model is trained on text that primarily features male voices, it might struggle to understand or generate female voices accurately.
So it's not enough to just develop the technology. We also have to be really thoughtful about the data we use to train these AI models and make sure it's representative and inclusive.
Exactly. Another concern is the potential for over-reliance on these models, especially in education. It's important to remember that AI is a tool, not a replacement for human interaction and guidance.
Right. We don't want to lose sight of the importance of human connection and mentorship in the learning process.
Absolutely. And we also need to be mindful of the potential impact on students' privacy. These AI models often collect data on student performance and behavior, so it's crucial to have clear guidelines and safeguards in place to protect that data.
Okay, those are all really important considerations. It seems like with any powerful technology, there's always a responsibility to use it ethically and thoughtfully.
I completely agree. It's about finding that balance between harnessing the power of AI and ensuring that it's used in a way that benefits humanity and doesn't exacerbate existing inequalities or create new ones.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Eon Reality's vision for AI and education, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
I think the key takeaway is that the future of AI is not set in stone. It's something we're actively shaping through the choices we make today. We have a responsibility to ensure that these technologies are developed and deployed in a way that aligns with our values and serves the common good.
That's a powerful message. And it's a reminder that technology is not inherently good or bad. It's all about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. And it's a conversation we need to keep having as AI continues to evolve and become more integrated into our lives.
Well, I think our listener has a lot to think about after this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground from the technical details of these tiny AI models to their potential impact on education, the workforce, and society as a whole.
It's been a fascinating discussion, and I hope it sparked some curiosity and critical thinking for our listener.
Me too. And as always, we encourage you to continue exploring and learning about this rapidly evolving field. The future of AI is in our hands, and it's up to all of us to shape it responsibly.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.